Welcome back to Time Out with J and G. It's Jay over here. It's G over there.
Yo, what is going on, everyone?
And today we are back with our week, three reactions. We have a lot of stuff we want to talk about.
Yep.
You got the title of the video. We both have different feelings on our favorite teams right now.
Oh, yeah.
One of us is very frustrated. One of us is doing pretty well, I think. So that's going to be the bulk is us ranting or just talking about our favorite teams. And then we're going to kind of go over everything. College football like we do every week. We're going to talk about, just like the other games, kind of talk with them a little bit. But I have a lot to say. So, we'll get into that later. Also, before we get into this, I do want to put out, we did not have a video last week. We actually sat here and recorded an hour and a half, 40 minutes.
It was something like that.
We put out we felt it was a really good podcast, really good. And then our recording software that we used, it just didn't save the video. And it wasn't gonna be genuine if we just redid it and put it back out.
Yeah.
We had a lot. We talked about a lot. We got pretty not heated, but pretty passionate about the things we were talking about. It was pretty good. We didn't want to fake that. You know what I mean? So
we're not about faking content.
No, we don't fake content. So I was like, you know what? We'll just take the L on that one, and we'll come back for the next week, and we'll be back. So that being said, Levi, is there anything you want to talk about before we get into the college football?
Not really. I just hope everyone is having a great day.
I do want to bring up, you saw Jaylen Brown is launching his
new shoe.
What did you think of the shoe?
I didn't really take a look at it. I mean, it's kind of cool that he is getting his own shoe. I haven't really seen. I mean, that's interesting.
It's not going to, I don't know if it's going to phase
I don't think it'll pick it up. No. Damn. But, okay, it popped in there for a second, but I mean, they look all right. I mean, obviously, people are gonna buy it. It's a famous athlete shoe. It just depends on the person. I know people are gonna call it trash. Some people are gonna call it great. I mean, I'm just glad that he got his own signature shoe.
So I'll be honest. I wouldn't wear something like that at all.
Yeah.
That is kind of the thing about me and sneakers is that I'll be the first to admit I'm not a sneakerhead in the slightest. I have some pairs of shoes I like to wear. I have to wear boots for work, and I'm a big Croc guy. Walk around Crocs, but I have sneakers as well. But I don't know, a lot of these athlete sneakers, people love them, and I'm just man, I don't know. It just vibe doesn't fit me, I guess. So I'm a pretty bad when it comes to grading sneakers, but athletes I'm just not into that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, as you know, I primarily just wear boots.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really a thing for me. I don't really go out and look for shoes. So, but I mean, hey, it's going to be someone's cup of tea, and I'm glad that he actually got his own shoe.
Oh, he deserves it. He's
yeah.
I don't think he's a superstar in this league, but I think he's
he's a star.
He's a star. I think it was time for him to get his own shoe. And like I said, it's only one. I mean, he might have a couple more down the line, I'm sure. So we'll see how they progress from there. And as long as he likes them, really, that's what matters.
Oh, absolutely.
So there is one more thing we want to talk about before we get into the actual games of college football. We have to talk about Matthew. Is it Sluka?
I think it's Sluka.
Sluka. So came out. He put out a post last night that he is going to redshirt this season and not play the remainder of the season because he's only played 3 games. So he's under that eligibility. He could redshirt. And I've been seeing conflicting reports, some saying he is going to transfer. Others, we're not sure yet. So I don't want to definitively say he is transferring yet because I haven't seen that yet. But as we kind of talked, it probably is most likely he is going to transfer because it's kind of hard to come back after something like this. So we'll get into the reasoning for it here in a second. But initial reaction to your starting quarterback going 3-0, like I said, you have a chance to, again, it's still early in the season.
Oh, yeah.
To maybe potentially make the college football playoff, and then he decides to step away. And listen, let's not talk about the reasons yet. Yeah. What is your to that?
I mean, if I was a player, on his team and I was a player, I would be kind of pissed off because it's dude, we're at this hot start. You're playing good football. The team's playing good football. This is a chance for us to do something that not really a group of 5 team has had a chance to do.
Mm-hmm.
Make it into the college football playoff, make a run, obviously, depending on what goes on. If they win out, what happens with Boise State, because it's the highest ranked, top 4 highest ranked conference champion. So, I mean, if I was his teammate, I'd be kind of pissed, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Our amazing run so far, and it's just kind of just like, why would you kind of just throw that away? Not many people have a chance to possibly do what we're about to do. Have a chance at doing, I should say.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. Like I said before, we get into like the reasonings. The initial reaction is just like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
3-0, still a good start. And he just decides that he's going to forego the season, red shirt. And he's what, a fourth or fifth year senior already.
I'm not. I know he graduated from Holy Cross, an
Mm.
FCS school, and that's when he got the UNLV job. And so believe he does have his redshirt year, but then next year would be his last year.
Right. Like this was going to be his last year, but because
Yes.
here, so I I don't know. It's a weird decision to make this late in your career, but then we have to get into the reasoning for it. And I've seen conflicting reports. I don't know who to fully trust at this point in time. I've seen so basically what the gist is of the story so far is that when he like admitted, promised to go to UNLV, they promised him $100,000 plus a $3,000 like moving fee type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, Apparently, I've seen reports that the 3,000 was paid to get him to move, but nothing else has been paid. I've seen reports that none of the money has been paid to him. I've seen reports that all the money's been paid to him, and he just wanted more money. So obviously at this point, there's so many different reports. I don't really know who to trust on that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There was a report that came out in the middle of the night that said he got the money, and then his family got a new agent and wanted more money. That's kind of a weird thing. That's kind of a weird thing.
That's an extremely weird move.
Yes, if that's or like I said, I've also saw reports that he was verbally promised it and they haven't given it to him, and then that brings up the idea of he was verbally promised $100,000, but
Yeah.
so far it seems like there's no actual contract of him getting that $100,000, which unfortunately could hurt him big time because
Yeah.
now it's gonna be the he said she said against the university. You know what I mean? And there's a chance he walks out here with none of the money. That I mean, at this point in time, I don't think UNLV is going to pay him at all.
Oh
Like
yeah.
whatever has been paid or what hasn't been paid, he's not getting the rest of it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No, and that's the one big thing is just like even with NFL, I know they're getting paid to do this and everything, but that's one of the big things about NFL. It's always contract. Get a contract drafted out, get a contract signed. That's the whole thing. And if I can just give any piece of advice, if they even listen to me, is if you're a high school athlete going to college, or if you're a college athlete transferring, get it on a contract, get it on paper, and make sure you have multiple copies. If anything, make sure you download it to your computer. Make sure you have something where it's just like if it arises a situation, hey, no, we agreed on this, this, and this. You're not giving it to me. You don't plan on giving it to me. What are we doing here? And then bam, now you have legal grounds and you have actual evidence to then go after the school or go after whoever, promised you that money.
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't know if the NCAA is going to step in on this. I don't know. We're still very, very, very early in this whole process.
Yeah.
But it's almost a guarantee that the NCAA is going to take UNLV University side over him. I could almost guarantee that. I could be wrong, but they're gonna go with their university over a player, and they're gonna back them. So, like I said, there was also a report that came out that another team had potentially offered him more money to come play for them.
Yeah, that's if that's what happened, that's really, really bad. I'm gonna be honest.
It's I think that's bad on all parts because again, we don't know if he got paid that 100,000 from UNLV and then took more money for another school. That's shitty on him. That's also shitty on the other school that went in and pulled him out for more money.
And I also believe that that's just straight up a recruiting violation.
It very much could be.
I think I'm not 100% sure because it's wild, wild west out here with the new recruiting.
But then on the other hand, what do you do if you're Matthew, right? And you promise to go to UNLV for 100 grand, they don't give it to you, and they're basically telling you that we're not going to give it to you, and another school comes in and offers you 300 grand to play for them. You know what I mean? So it's also got to make sense. Like, what if they didn't pay it at all? And he's like, well, this is my only opportunity to get paid because let's be honest, this guy's probably not making it to the NFL. He's probably not back. So him taking that, I'm just using 300K as a guesstimation because they actually 100K was the original offer. So I'm assuming it probably was 200 to 300K to try to pull him away from UNLV, right? That for a guy like him that's probably not going to make the NFL is going to be not life-changing money, but it's going to set him up for a long time to get himself ready. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And so it's like it's a very we're still again. This all came out basically last night, right? As we're recording this, so it's still very early. We don't have nearly all the details yet, so we can't really fully take a side. I don't think at this point.
But
Um,
there is one thing I do want to say. I've seen people on Twitter talk about this and be like, "Well, if your job wasn't paying you, would you show up?" And I'm kind of just like, I'm kind of in the middle on that because it's just like, yeah, I understand that, but at the same point, this is technically not their job. Their job is to go to school and get an education at this point because they're still technically a collegiate athlete. You know what I mean?
I,
Or with the new paying rules, I don't know if that's the terminology anymore, but you're still going to college to get a degree.
I,
You're getting a full
I,
ride.
I don't know. I understand what you're saying, but if I think the difference is that they verbally promised to pay him 100K.
Yeah.
That's like walking it again. Like if I'm going to use the job thing, like they're saying, that's like going into an interview and being like, hey, the place that's interviewing you is like, okay, we're going to give you a salary of 100K a year. Okay, you sign on, you get there, and you find out it's an unpaid internship. It's like I ain't gonna say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm here because you promised me 100K a year, or like for the year for him. You know what I mean? And now it's like you're not gonna pay me anything. That's where it's like I agree a lot. For a lot of people, you go to college for a degree, but let's be honest, these a lot of these football players are going to college to get paid, then hopefully get to the NFL. You know what I mean? Technically, if they're promising you 100K, college football kind of is your job. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that is what he's there for. You know what I mean? Like obviously, yes, to get a degree, but you said he graduated from somewhere else already.
I believe, yeah, I believe he graduated from Holy Cross.
So literally, he is just there to get paid to play football. It is
Yeah.
his job to play football there because he's not taking classes there, at least as
I,
far as we're concerned. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
as far as we're concerned, he could be going for a higher degree,
Yeah,
but that's neither here nor there.
that like, I get what you're saying, and I think situation based, I could agree with you, but like literally in this case, if he already graduated, he's going to play there because they promised him 100K, and they're not giving him that. That I think that job analogy works actually pretty well because that is why he's there is to play football.
Yeah, I see your point there. It just is when you just throw job out there, it's kind of just that's when it kind of gets a little wishy-washy with me because it's kind of like, well, they're there to get an education, but I
Mm,
understand the wanting to make some money because let's be honest, most kids in college are not going to be going to the NFL.
yeah, 100%. So I'm sure over the next however many weeks, as more information comes out about this, we'll update more about this story. We'll talk about it more. Hopefully, eventually, at some point in time, we either get a full confirmation of they paid him and he left, they didn't pay him, and like we'll figure out what's going on. Hopefully, over the next however many weeks.
But the big thing about this is, for me, is just like if you go to agree to something, make sure it's on a contract. Make
100%.
sure both parties sign. Make sure there's a third party that witness the signature, and you get copies so
Mm-hmm.
you have proof of it.
100%. Yep. Is that anything else you want to say before we move on from that?
No, that's about it.
Okay. Well, then let's get into your week. I guess college football is in what week 3 or week.
Week
Go.
4.
Yeah.
We're
Let's go.
going into week 4. Week 3 just ended.
All right.
Alrighty, first game is the Illinois-Nebraska game. Illinois did win 31-24. Luke Altmaier, I hope I'm saying that right. He went for 215 yards and 4 touchdowns. In my opinion, he outdueled Dylan Raiola, who had 297 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick.
You
I
mean
mean, what?
you mean Patrick Mahomes?
Oh, okay. I mean, there actually is something that came out that he has a younger brother that looks just like Jackson Mahomes. So,
Hey, Patty, better watch out. The Chiefs are looking.
but no, Illinois won the close one on the road, and this might be the start of something special for Illinois.
Mhm.
They could be a thorn in the side of Big Ten teams, as I'm going to point out in a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, this I think was the first time in I don't know how many years that Illinois and Nebraska were both ranked and undefeated going into this game. It was a great game to watch. I'm gonna be honest, it did go to overtime, and Illinois' defense did shut down. So I mean, shout out to Illinois. Hopefully, they will be a thorn in the side of some of these bigger Big Ten teams.
Mhm.
On to the next game, we have Penn State beating Kent State 56-0. You were at that game. How was the atmosphere?
I was in attendance at that game. It was a lot of fun. We got there early. We tailgated for a couple of hours. We walked to the game, watched the game until probably like 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It was like I think at that point it was 42-0, and we're like, all right, this game is over. So we went out and just tailgated for a few more hours. Ended up being 56-0. Honestly, it was a lot of fun. It was a Kent State game, so it wasn't exactly like the most like crazy atmosphere that Penn State is known for, but attendance was still 109,000. It was a packed house. It was military appreciation game, so they had a jet flyover or 3 jet flyover. It was
Oh shit.
they had former military members there doing the chants and stuff like that. It was electric. It was a lot of fun. And again, even though it wasn't exactly a close game by any means, it was still cool to like kind of see it in person. And it still got loud in there, man. Like those first couple touchdowns when it was like 7-0, 14-0, the place was booming. It was absolutely booming in there. And they do a really great job. I can only imagine like whiteout games because, like I said, that even with it being a Kent State game, it got loud in there, man. Listen. I'm a metalhead. I go to metal concerts, and I know loud, and you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
that the game put them to shame. They were loud, and now I just gotta get to a whiteout game because I don't think I could hear anybody next to me.
No, I mean, just from like box score watching, because I wasn't at the game, I didn't watch the game, but it took a little bit for the offense to get going. Only one touchdown in the first quarter, I believe, two in the second quarter, but ultimately they did get up 56-0 and beat the shit out of Kent State. And let's be honest here, the past 2 weeks for Kent State have not been nice.
Very, very.
Last week, I believe they lost 70-1 to Tennessee, and this week they lost 56-0 to Penn State. I mean, hey, but Kent State probably made out with the bag.
They probably did. Hold on, let me pull this up just to be sure. But yeah, no. If you talk more about that game, it was great. Literally the opening kickoff, Penn State kicked it out of bounds, penalty right away. And I'm like, like it. But yeah, they get in, they stop. I'm trying to pull back up, because I want to make sure I get this completely right. So then they stop them. Second play from scrimmage, right? Kent State has a play. On the second play, the quarterback rolls out to the left side, is trying to throw the ball, gets hit, gets injured. They had to bring out I don't know left. They had to bring out a stretcher, put him on a stretcher, and they took him off the field.
God.
It was a rough sight. Penn State gets the ball. Drew Eller throws a pick. We're like, all right, that's cool. It's like it goes back and forth. We ended up Penn State injured their backup too. They were down to their third string quarterback by the time, maybe in their fourth. By the time we left with 10 minutes left in the game, they could have put somebody else in.
Oh my Lord.
Penn State just at one point in time, Penn State had over 400 yards of offense, and Kent State had 80.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was like it was watching a D1 football team play a high school team.
Yeah.
No matter what they did, Kent State couldn't move the ball. The Penn State defense was just on there. The offense, like I said, the first quarter, they were doing a lot of like run plays, a lot of dink and dunk plays, trying to feel it out. The offense didn't move that well. Then in the second quarter and into the second half, they just started letting their guys run. Nick Singleton got the ball. He had a big game. Drew Eller had 4 touchdowns. Like they were just the tight end Tyler Wells had a crazy one-handed catch on the sideline. We saw that live. He like turned around and like reached backwards and like caught it. Like it was really cool. But no, I'm definitely excited to go to another game. I got an email from Penn State Athletics after the game because I had the tickets and like, oh, come to the game this week against Illinois. And I'm like, okay, I wonder what tickets are for our section. The same tickets that were $25 because it was a Kent State game were now over like $90-some for that same section. And parking was crazy. We saw people there in the RV places. This one family, the group of us walked. It was me and a couple of our friends and my friend's girlfriend. We walked by this RV, and they had 2 TVs, 2 flat screen TVs hooked up to their RV, and then they had like a buffet of food all around there. They didn't even go in the game. They sat right outside the stadium and watched the game on TV, and had a buffet group. I mean, hey, that's cool. You know how much it costs getting them RV spots?
No, I don't.
It costs over $300 a spot. And that's just to go and sit outside the stadium and not even go into the game. So, yeah, I guess they didn't have to buy tickets to the game. They just had to buy a parking pass.
Yeah.
But, the atmosphere is crazy, man. I'm up in State College kind of often for work. I love the area. It's one of the only D1 colleges in the country that's right outside a huge stadium. It's just nothing but farmlands and mountains.
Yeah.
Nothing around State College. If you know, you know. But it makes it so much cooler, though, because you can you can hear the boom from that place for miles away because of how flat it is around it. It's such a cool atmosphere to go. I do wish you could have been there with us. It was a lot of fun, but we'll get you up there one day.
Gonna get me up there one day. Drew Aller did go for 309 yards, 3 touchdowns in the air. He did have 26 rushing yards and 1 touchdown, but the backup, Boa, I think is how you say his first name. He went 8 for 9, 83 yards, a touchdown and a pick. So I mean, it looks like the passing game was effective, and the running game also. I think total was like 718 yards of total offense with like 8 touchdowns. So, this was a good tune-up game to go against Illinois' next game.
Mm-hmm.
Going to touch on that a little bit later. But on to the next game, we have Tennessee beating Oklahoma 25-15. You may look at the score and be like, oh, that was kind of a close game. If you watched it, it was not. Let's be honest here. There were turnovers. It was a defensive game, but it says something when Oklahoma has to pull their starting quarterback out to start the second half, and it wasn't because of injuries.
Who called that Tennessee scoring surge was going to be stopped that week?
You did, but to be fair, a lot of us that watched the game think Tennessee could have put 40 on them. Easy. Because Heupel wanted to keep his starters rested and didn't want to risk an injury because he knew he had the game won with how well the defense has been playing.
Score 40?
What?
Did he score 40?
No, he scored 25.
So the streak ended. Like, got called.
It is Oklahoma, so.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, Oklahoma had to put in the second string quarterback. I mean, their starter just did not look good. I'm gonna be honest. Tennessee had him flustered, moving in the pocket. I mean, they had this was just a straight defensive game from a normally offensive Tennessee and an offensive Oklahoma. This was an interesting game to watch. But on to the next game, so we don't ramble on too much. This one's gonna shock some people. We have Texas A&M beating Bowling Green 26-20. I know last week Penn State only beat Bowling Green by what? A touchdown? I feel like this Bowling Green team has a little oomph into them, and we might be seeing them later on, maybe in the college football playoff, depending on how their conference schedule goes. But, it seems like a tough team. They took a Big Ten team to the fourth quarter. Now they took an SEC team to the fourth quarter. So you never know what could be going on down or over with a Bowling Green. Hopefully they have a really good season, and maybe we'll see them in a bowl game or maybe even a college football playoff.
Yeah, okay. Let's go.
On to what I believe is going to be college game day. I haven't really looked at or seen anything, but we have number 2 Georgia and number 4 Alabama. Georgia is favored by 2. This is honestly a statement game for both teams. Georgia hasn't looked that good through 3 weeks. I'm going to be honest, barely beat Kentucky. Kentucky should have won that game. I'm going to be just straight down honest. I think it was like 14-12. Bama, their coaching staff needs this big win, because obviously both teams have been playing kind of cupcake schedules, and I am going to throw Clemson in there because Clemson did not look good in that game. But, this is a statement win for both teams. Both teams need to win this because a win at this point against this high ranking of an opponent could catapult you to number 1. I feel like the winner should be at number 1, whoever wins this game.
Who's at number 1 right now?
Texas.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They got number 1 they got number 1, I think, last week when Georgia only beat Kentucky by 2.
Okay.
I think in a new poll they got number 1. But anyways, Kentucky should win that game. Georgia, they got to score quickly. They cannot have that stifling offense that we've seen against Clemson and not being able to score against Kentucky. They got to be able to put that ball in the end zone or at least get field goals on a consistent level. Alabama, on the other hand, this coaching staff has to go in and just do the dagger. They have to take that kill shot as soon as possible to be like, hey, we're here. We're going to be here. We're not just coming in from the Pac-12 and, we're going to roll over. We're here. We have the tools to win, and we are going to win. Yeah. I have Georgia winning, going into Alabama and getting a hard-fought win.
I'm going to go – God, I don't want to root for either one of these teams. Let's get the Alabama boys, get their big win for their coaching staff.
You going Bama?
I'm going to go Bama.
On Bama. All right, on to the next game, we are featuring your team again for a second week in a row. Number 19, Illinois, going to number 9, Penn State.
Yes, sir.
Penn State is favored by 19. Illinois did come off a tough win against Nebraska. Now, at Nebraska, I need to mention. Now they're going on the road against Penn State. This is 2, I'd say, hardest places to play. Nebraska is iffy, depending on, obviously, if the team's good. But Penn State, I truly believe, top 5 hardest place to play.
Yep.
Altmaier and Illinois need to take care of the ball. Obviously, they need to get elongated drives and they need to punch it in the end zone because Penn State, they get a couple of stops, their offense gets moving. You never know what could happen. Penn State, they got to get that run game going immediately, force Illinois to bring the safeties down, get out of that cover two. If you know,
Okay.
you know, but force the
Shout-
safeties to come down and
Yep.
then use Drew Aller's big arm to the wide receivers and get that ball down the field. If Illinois wants a chance to win this game, they got to stop the run. They have to force Penn State to throw the football, which then opens the opportunity for Xavier Scott to have a big game. I predict he's going to have at least 3 pass deflections plus picks combined. But that's neither here nor there. I do have Penn State winning. It is at home. It is going to be loud, crazy. You know, it's tough to go into Penn State. It's tough to go into Beaver Stadium and win. I just don't think Illinois is at that point yet, but I do think it'll be closer than what everyone thinks.
Yeah, no, I'm going Penn State. It's kind of a homer pick, but yeah, no, I completely agree. Penn State's got to get the offense moving early. We can't you can against a team like Kent State, your offense is kind of struggling in the first quarter. It doesn't matter. Like I said, they had 7 points in the first quarter, end up with 56. You know what I mean? Like they could afford to kind of be 3 now, blah blah blah, the first couple of drives and not really have anything happen. Though the early pick didn't hurt them at all, honestly. But a team like Illinois is just leagues better than the Kent State team, and I still think Penn State's a level above Illinois at this point in time. But they are a much better team. They're going to take advantage. There's a higher chance they're going to take advantage of those early turnovers or early 3 and outs from the Penn State offense that Kent State was not able to do. Like I said, we had the Bowling Green game the week prior, where it's a team we should have beaten by a lot. Again, we didn't do it. I think the Kent State game was a good way for the Penn State's offense to kind of explore some things, figure some stuff out. We know Penn State, they're a run-first team. You got to get Nick Sickle to the ball. You got to get to the ball early. Like I said, you got to be, that offensive line's got to be making a lot of pressure on that Illinois D-line. And Drew Aller, man. Drew Aller's at his best. When the run game is working, he can work off the run game. You know what I mean? Like I said, he's got a big arm, but he's also not the craziest decision maker. So if you can make it easy for him by having a strong running game, bring people down into the box where he's not looking at the crazy coverages, that's where Drew Aller really is at his best. And you know what? I think Penn State is riding high off a really big win. Illinois is coming into town, and I think this is definitely going to be a closer game. I think you said that spreads. What is it?
19.
I don't think they're going to cover. I don't think they're going to cover that. I think it's going to end up being like a 10 to 17 point games. Not 10 to 17, but like Penn State's going to end 2-17. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be that big of a game. But yeah, Penn State.
All righty, on to the next game. One of my games that I think is going to be a little bit closer, kind of like the Illinois game, but I have Kentucky at Ole Miss.
Okay.
Kentucky only lost to Georgia by 2. I said that earlier. They should have won. That's just how I feel like. But I feel like this Kentucky team is starting to get the ball rolling in the right direction. And I feel like this Ole Miss team is kind of like at that point where it's like Jackson Dart is having an amazing year. He's up for Heisman. A lot of people think he should be Heisman. I believe he's got he's got over 1,000 passing yards. He might be close to like 1,200 to 1,300 passing yards. I don't have the stats offhand, but he's having an amazing year. But I think Kentucky comes in here, goes into Ole Miss, and I feel like they come out with a big win for Kentucky because you played really good against Georgia. You're feeling really good. Obviously, Ole Miss plays a different style of football. We all know that. But something about this Kentucky team is just different. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of like that team that'll maybe finish, like with 8 wins, maybe 9 wins, something like that. But there's going to be that one win they get is going to be against, a top 10, top 15 team. I think is right here against Ole Miss. I don't think Lane Kiffin. My opinion, Lane Kiffin is indifferent, but I just don't think that Ole Miss is going to be prepared for what Kentucky's going to throw at them.
Yeah. I'll go Kentucky too. Let's go basketball school.
All righty. Now, with newly acquired Boise State into the Pac-12 by 2026, it is confirmed. So technically, we got a Pac-12 after dark game right here. We have Washington State at number 25, Boise State. Boise State is favored by 7. Boise State, I have been high on them the entire time.
I don't need to hear anything. I don't want to say back to blue. That means something different than I'm trying to. I mean the blue field. Back to blue field. I'm going Boise State. That's all I need to hear.
Going Boise State. Like I said, I've been high on Boise State, Ashton Genie the whole time. Washington State did.
Future Cowboy, Aston Genie.
But Washington State is not a team to be light against. Their starting quarterback John Mateer, I think that's how you say his name. He has over 1,100 passing yards, 11 passing touchdowns, and 425 rushing yards with 5 rushing touchdowns. He is kind of like the catalyst for this Washington State team. That Washington State team did beat Washington, their arch rival, and I do believe they did get another big win against San Jose State in double overtime. So this Washington State team has got a little momentum going, but I do like this Ashton Genie offense. I feel like he's going to go for 150 and 3 tutties, and Boise State's going to end up winning the game.
All right, Boise State, shout out.
Boise State, man, I love Boise State. They're ranked 25 in the country right now, man. If they make it to the college football playoff, there's gonna be an upset or two.
Shout out Cowboys, Boise State, that are Cowboys. DeMarcus Lawrence, formerly Leighton Vander Esch, and Aston Genie next year.
Okay. Okay. If he goes to the draft this year.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't see why you wouldn't, but you never know. You never know. So now on to our main segment.
Would you like to talk about your Steelers first, and we can finish on the Cowboys?
Yeah, I'll be a little bit quick with the Steelers. I mean, there's talks about Justin.
That rage I had Sunday. It's gonna
trying to build it back up. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. There's talks about Justin Fields getting benched for Russell Wilson. I don't think you do that in the slightest. Wilson has progressed massively from when we seen him at the Bears to his, till now.
Justin Fields, not Russell Wilson.
Justin Fields has progressed.
There you go.
But no, Fields has been getting better as season going on, but granted, it's only been 3 weeks. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Justin Fields. Someone did a funny, throw chart, and there was like nothing down the middle of the field. It was always the outside or checkdowns. But I mean, hey, we're winning games. He has thrown the deep ball. We've seen some good accuracy from him. Some of the, deep passing plays has been called back. But I'm loving what I'm seeing from Justin Fields. And if being honest, I feel like we should keep Russell Wilson in for that backup in case Fields does take a hard hit or something. We need that veteran quarterback to come in and fill the role. Mm-hmm. Now, on the defensive side, Alex Highsmith seems to be injured, and he's going to be injured for a couple weeks. That's a blow to our pass rush. But Nick Herbig, I've been big on him for the past year or two. He's going to fill the void. He did come in against the Broncos, and he did get Chargers. Sorry. He come in against the Chargers, and he did get a strip sack. So I don't think our pass rush is going to hurt that much with Herbig coming in, but there is going to be a little bit of a drop-off. We are facing Anthony Richardson, most athletic quarterback we've gone up against so far. They gotta stop the run, which is going to be extremely hard when you have Jonathan Taylor, a top 3 running back in the league, in my opinion. But you got to try and force Anthony Richardson to beat you through the air. And the Steelers' defense, pass rush, and pass defense has been astounding. But I'm feeling good 3-0. Number 1 in the AFC right now. If it ended right now, we'd get the number 1 seed. So I'm feeling great about that. But I believe we play the Colts. So hopefully we can come out with a good showing and hopefully we can win another one 4-0, baby.
I saw a stat, and I didn't even bother to check if it was true because it seemed kind of crazy enough to be true. Then in the second half of the Chargers game, you guys' defense allowed negative -5 yards.
Yeah.
That's a crazy stat. You kind of made a comment about playing Anthony Richardson this week.
Yeah.
And I've never been so Anthony Richardson's one of the most polarizing quarterbacks in this league. Not like him himself as a personality, but like on the field, man. Like within 3 plays, you'll see the craziest ball you've ever seen thrown, and then you'll see the worst thrown ball you've ever seen in your life. He had that big throw down the field on the Bears, and then followed it up a couple plays later with throwing the worst interception you've ever seen in your life. Like I want to like Anthony Richardson. And I do like Anthony Richardson, but like it's kind of goes off on a different tangent. But like I've got some frustrations with Anthony Richardson. And like, especially watching that Bears game from both him and Caleb Williams, some weird and really, really bad throws. And I don't know. But that's a weird tangent on that one. The offense, when I talk about the Steelers offense, Justin Fields is kind of just not doing. He's just kind of conducting an offense. He's not really doing much at all.
He's doing what he needs to do.
He's got 2 touchdowns and a pick through 3 games. Like
yeah.
He's not really doing much at all. But like I said, he's just kind of game managing it. You know what I mean?
But he has been getting better. He has been getting better.
I like that Justin Fields because I think we had both talked before, and then we talked again in the preseason about, like, we talked before the season about how we thought Russell Wilson might be the starter this year, but you're hoping Justin Fields is kind of the guy that maybe takes you, like, you can use Justin Fields for the years coming. And then in preseason, we're like, oh, these guys are both bad. They neither one of them are playing well. And now, like I said, Justin Fields is in that mold right now where he's just not doing too much. He's gone there. He's making the easy throws he needs to do. He's throwing a couple of deep passes here and there. The offense is a running offense and then a crazy good defense. Like one of the best defenses, if not the best in the league right now. And, we'll see how that progresses through a full 17-game season. You know what I mean? This defense is good. They're going to be good the whole season. Shit like negative 5 yards and a half isn't going to happen more. That you can't rely on that every week for your defense. But they're going to be a top 5 defense in this league the entire season, I think. You hope at some point Justin Fields kind of starts doing a little bit more. You don't rely on Justin Fields being your main focal point on offense, obviously. But like to make it easier on your running backs, you got to be able to get him to spread the ball around more, kind of make defenses respect it a little bit more. So hopefully we see that coming. I don't think Russell Wilson should play unless, knock on wood, Justin Fields gets hurt. Or
better knock on wood.
I did. Or if he just starts playing really bad for the next however many weeks. You know what I mean? Because with this defense, like we've talked before, with this defense, you guys are trying to win right now. If he starts playing bad, you guys are starting losing. They're going to put Russell Wilson in. But until then, I don't think Russell Wilson should start the field. Honestly, watching the Steelers is like watching a high school team in the sense of, obviously, like way more talented. I don't mean that disrespectfully at all. But like your typical high school team, they're going to play good defense because the other offense sucks, and they're going to run the ball because the quarterbacks don't know how to throw the ball in high school. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, defense gets on the field, get a turnover, get a stop. Offense, run, probably punt it. Defense on the field, score a touchdown. Okay, cool. Defense just scored a touchdown for us. Now our offense can run a few times, probably punt it. But it's like it works. It worked for them at the 3-0. They finally eclipsed 20 points. So shout out to hitting 20 points for the first time this year.
And also, I don't mean to cut it off before you get your turn, but apparently UNLV running back Michael Allen announced his plan to redshirt the remainder of the year and enter the transfer portal. Allen transferred in from NC State this offseason.
Ooh, maybe is that more NIL things going on? Maybe
I don't know, but this was a post from Bordeaux. If you know Bordeaux, big in college football, 25.
Yeah.
UNLV made a bunch of promises they didn't keep, and now players want out. I hope they bring that feature back to the next college football game. It's a lot of fun. So basically, he's saying like if you promise something and you don't fulfill that promise, players leave.
That's making it look better for Matthew, the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's if they're having another big player like that just transferred in, transfer out. Maybe that speaks to him, but maybe they didn't pay him at all. You know what I mean? And then maybe we'll find out more from this running back if there's anything else going on with that kind of thing too. UNLV from a crazy hot 3-0 start to losing your quarterback and running back in a matter of like 12 hours. That's
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, no, shout out to Steelers 3-0. We'll see how long that goes for. We play you guys here in a few weeks.
I think in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so that'll
play each other. I think we play each other on Monday night. I think, or the night game on Sunday. One of the two.
I know Dallas has the Giants tomorrow night. So we'll see with that. But anything else we want to talk about with the Steelers before we move on? Give them their proper respects. They deserve it.
Yep, 3-0. Mike Tomlin, one of the greatest coaches of all time. I will die on that mountain.
Okay, fair.
I mean, yeah. Shout out to the Steelers. Hopefully we can get 10, 11 wins this season.
Yeah. Okay.
Only 7 more.
Well, so it's not going to – if we recorded this Sunday afternoon, it would have went crazy. I would have been very upset. But it's been a couple of days. I'm an adult male. Everyone leave my side.
What?
Control my emotions enough. I've calmed down. Still very frustrated, though. I'm not mad anymore. I'm frustrated. There's a difference, you know. So the Cowboys are 1-2. We just lose to the Ravens 28-25. At one point it was 28-6. We kind of made a comeback. They tried, couldn't finish it out. Baltimore ends up winning the game. It was good. It was honestly like the first half was like, well, we just getting our ass kicked in, but it was good to see our offense. Our team kind of came together in the fourth quarter, played better enough for us to at least make it a close game, but we weren't going to win that game. I have a lot of bones to pick with this Cowboys team right now, and I'm going to start with one of the like the I'm going to start with the defense, okay? Because we brought in Mike Zimmer this year. We let Dan Quinn go. He's now the head coach of the Washington Commanders. And we bring in Mike Zimmer, who was supposed to be this really good defensive-minded head coach or defensive coordinator. And you saw week 1 against the Browns, our defense dominated. The entire team looked good. Like, the offense was a little slacky at some point in time, but the defense was so great. We come out of the game, we won. Everybody's high on Mike Zimmer. Everybody's high on the defense. DeMarvin Overshone had a crazy debut. Then week 2 comes around, and I kind of talked about it on the episode that kind of got lost. We didn't get to put out. DeMarvin Overshone dropped down to like 17 snaps, barely saw the field. And, the defense against the Saints. The Saints ran all over us. Literally ran all over us. Alvin Kamara had, 4 touchdowns, I think, 3 running and receiving. So much that I picked him up in fantasy. I got him in fantasy because of that game. We couldn't do anything. Derek Carr was stunting on us, and I don't like Derek Carr, so seeing that really kind of ticked me, and something inside me kind of ticked me off. Seeing Derek Carr do the Michael Jackson hee in our end zone, and then they play Baltimore, and I said in the video last week that again nobody saw that the way for Dallas to win this game was to force Lamar Jackson to win the game through the air. He didn't have to do that. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the run. The Cowboys' run defense the last 2 weeks allowed on 84 attempts, 464 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Disgusting. This is something I brought up before the season even started on this podcast. We don't have defensive tackles. We don't have linebackers. We cannot stop the run.
Do you guys have defensive tackles that should be playing in the NFL? Because it seems like you don't.
So there's about that. Like, they drafted Mozzie Smith last year out of Michigan, defensive tackle. He had a weird rookie season, and there were some reports that came out that Dan Quinn asked him to slim down to the defensive tackle role. It was kind of a weird thing. We're like, okay, with Dan Quinn gone, Mike Zimmer hopefully get Mozzie to beef back up. But then in the offseason, like, Mozzie made some weird comments that he doesn't really like football. He just likes hitting people, which, I mean, like, it's whatever, I guess. But then, like, you see him on the field, and it's obvious he doesn't really – and I don't want to say this about this because this is an NFL player and I'm not. But, like, it almost seems like he just doesn't know what he's doing. And, like, on the sense of, like, there was that big play where Micah got a lot of shit for this play where Lamar – they snapped the ball. Lamar kind of got out to the right side. There was a screen play on the right side.
Yeah, no.
Micah was kind of stuck. He was kind of stuck in a wide open area with Lamar Jackson and the receiver. So he kind of set the edge and forced Lamar Jackson to go back up the middle. And a lot of people got on Micah for that, for not tackling him. But it's like Micah was setting the edge. He was playing the screen. And he was forcing Lamar Jackson up the middle, which is what you're supposed to do as an edge defender. You're supposed to get him back up the middle for the rest of your teammates to help out. Eric Kendricks couldn't get down there in time, and he ends up getting like 6-7 yards on a run. But if something you noticed during that play was Mozzie Smith. He was getting double teamed, but he was 5 yards up the field facing away from the play. His back was to the play. He was not paying attention in the slightest. And it's like our defensive tackle was 5 yards up the field looking the opposite direction, and you want to get on Micah for playing the open space. They forced the ball back up the middle. He forced it back up the middle, but our defensive tackle was on the fucking sideline. Like, I don't – it's so frustrating. They don't deal with this defensive tackle issue. They haven't for years. I saw a tweet that the best run defense for the first couple weeks has been Washington. And people are like, oh, Dan Quinn. No, they have 2 Pro Bowl defensive tackles.
Oh, my God.
Aaron Payne. They have 2 of the best defensive tackles in this league. You need big D tackles if you're going to stop the run. If you don't really have the best D tackles, you need linebackers. We have Eric Kendricks, who's cool, but he's on the older side. Overshone was a great debut, didn't play week 2, and then missed a couple tackles this week. But again, technically this is his rookie season because he didn't play it all last year. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have linebackers. We don't have defensive tackles. This was an issue last year. Our defense got ran over last year. And they did nothing. They literally did nothing to help it. I guess they brought in Eric Kendricks. But are you thinking in 2024 Eric Kendricks is going to come in and fix your run defense?
No, not in the slightest.
Exactly. And like again, I like Eric Kendrick. He's been like I've enjoyed watching him on the Cowboys. It's no shot at him, but him alone was not going to help this, man. It doesn't help that we let Stephon Gilmore walk in free agency. Bland gets hurt and is out for the first 5 to 8 weeks. It is
Yeah.
and rookies out there at defensive back. Talk about safeties. Malik Hooker. I've been a fan of Malik Hooker since he was in Indianapolis. He is just getting too slow to play a free safety spot. He's getting ran by. Donovan Wilson, also a fan of him when he came in. He looks lost. He looks lost. There are so many plays he's caught. You see him in a replay. He's looking side to side, trying to figure out where he's supposed to be. We have two safeties and Bell and Thomas that sit behind him. I would just love to see them play. Because you know what? Maybe they might not be quite as good, but they're young. Let them get out there and play instead of having your veterans out there looking lost. You know what I mean? And they're slower. Our secondary is so down bad right now. We have no linebackers. We have no defensive tackles. DeMarcus Lawrence is saying it's an issue, it's an effort thing, which I completely agree with. It's just a lack of effort anyway. Micah Parsons, listen, Micah Parsons, I love the guy, but they're throwing so many bodies at him, and sometimes he doesn't fight through it. You know what I mean? Like it's an effort thing for their entire defense. Trayvon Diggs came out and made a tweet that he took responsibility for the play, like letting the completion happen. I respect like coming out and taking responsibility, but it almost doesn't matter to me because it's like it's not going to change anything, is it? Like
No.
I appreciate you coming out and be like, it was on me, I messed up. It shouldn't have been that. It shouldn't have been like that in the first place.
It shouldn't have happened.
It shouldn't have happened in the first place. Defense, I'm so frustrated with them. We are one of the worst defenses in the league. And it's like, I told you again, I said on this podcast before the season started that I knew our run defense was going to be bad. And here it's through 3 weeks, and we're so lucky Nick Chubb didn't play with Nick week 1. If Nick Chubb played week 1, look at right now.
You'd be 0-3 bottom of the league.
Exactly. Derrick Henry hasn't really done much the first 2 weeks. His ass shot went for what? 115, 3 touchdowns against us. Like Derrick Henry was like, "Oh guys, yeah, remember I'm still one of the best backs in the league against the Cowboys defense." You know what I mean? This week we have the Giants, who Devin Singletary's a running back. I'm not, I think Dallas is going to right their ship against the Giants tomorrow night. Dak has a 12-2 record against the Giants in his career. I don't think this is one of those spots where I think this team is pretty upset right now, and I think they're going to come out and they're going to beat the Giants. But it doesn't really matter at this point in time. Let's move on to the offensive side of the ball. This offensive line, which has been a staple for Dallas since like the mid-2010s, is awful.
Trash.
So bad. They are so bad. Guyton, he's a rookie left tackle. Week 1 against Myles Garrett looked good, and then it's not been good in weeks 2 and 3. Tyler Smith is kind of getting ran over. Zach Martin, man, I fucking love Zach Martin. He's been one of the best guards in the league for his entire career. He is getting old. He is getting ran through. It's unfortunate to watch. Okay, pause. It's unfortunate to watch, but he's just getting beat now. He can't he's not holding his own nearly as well as he still has his moments, but it's not the Zach Martin that we know and love, the All-Pro Zach Martin. And then, like I said, it's just Cooper Beebe, the rookie center. We're just like they're getting beat. Dak snaps the ball and he has to move immediately. They're just getting pressure in his face. Running backs, man, we don't have our running back room is dreadful. It's dreadful.
Yeah.
It's Rico Dowdle. And they got like Deuce Vaughn in there. They signed Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook hasn't played a single snap. And Jerry Jones just came out and said he's not going to play this week either. I don't know why. We have nothing going on in the running game. Why not just give Dalvin Cook the fucking ball?
I mean, at this point, just give Hunter Lipicati the ball.
Yes, literally, he's one of our best. He had a good game. He's one of the few best game.
2 catches, 41 yards.
And then this. Never mind. I'm not going to make that comment because I want to talk about this guy later. Receiving room. We don't have a number 2. I love Brandon Cooks. He has his moments where he stands out and is our number 2 receiver, but he's just inconsistent. He's getting older. He's not a full-time number 2 receiver. They didn't draft really anybody of significance. CeeDee Lamb is my favorite Cowboy. I love the guy. Has an attitude problem, but then again, he's a superstar receivers, and 99% of superstar receivers have that kind of diva mentality. It's kind of what makes them who they are, and you know what I mean. So I'm not, but he got caught on the silence, yelling at Dak, yelling at Zach Martin, 2 of the biggest leaders on the team. Listen, man, I'm fully up for if you think you're opening, you're not getting the ball, go talk to your quarterback. But if you're fumbling in the red zone, if you're dropping passes in the red zone, shut the fuck up. And I mean that respectfully. I fully mean that respectfully because I love the guy. But it's just like, you can't be doing them dumb shit on the field and then get mad at your teammates off the field. I don't know what they were arguing about, obviously, because I'm not on the sideline. Maybe it was something else they were arguing about. But how it looks from the perception of people and the fans is like you're making these boneheaded decisions. That fumble was huge. It was a 3-point game. We lost by 3 points. And I get the fumble was earlier in the game, but that makes it, if that maybe goes to a touchdown drive, maybe Dallas starts to come back earlier. They don't have to come back from 28-6. It's just a big thing. He's still one of the best receivers in the league. Sorry. He's still one of the best receivers in the league, and I'm not going to take that away from him because of a rough start. But it's just so frustrating watching the way he acted on the sideline. He then skipped the media after the game, and Dak went up there and took all the shots for him. Like he kind of, he then did come to the media, I think yesterday, and kind of apologized and said he should have been there. Again, I respect that, kind of like with Trayvon Diggs, but until it happens on the field, I don't really give a shit what you say off the field. You know what I mean? I got to see the actions on the field.
Yeah, I do hate to cut you off, but I do got to get going here soon.
Yeah, okay. I'm almost done. The final point I have is Jerry Jones.
Trash.
There is a hashtag Fire Jerry Jones going around Twitter right now. It's not going to make a difference. I hope you guys know that. It's not going to make a damn difference. The Twitter hashtag is not going to make a difference to that. But I'm on it. He came out after the game and said that after the Ravens game that they couldn't afford to get Derrick Henry.
Bullshit.
What Derrick Henry said is they never even attempted. How do you know you can't afford him if you didn't even attempt to call him? He lives in Dallas. Derrick Henry has a home in Dallas. He said playing in Dallas would be a perfect fit for him. And Jerry Jones doesn't even pick up the fucking cell phone. At least pick up the cell phone and be like, hey, Derrick, we'd like to have you on the Cowboys. Derrick would be like, oh, I want $8 million a year. What he got from Baltimore. Then he could be like, oh, we can't afford that. Let's either work on something or, sorry, we just can't afford you. But to not even make a phone call and then say you can't afford him, bullshit. He's the same when they made a comment earlier that the Cowboys are going all in this season. We're going to go all in after the loss to Green Bay last year. They went all in by letting Stephon Gilmore walk, letting Tony Pollard walk, not drafting receivers, they bring back Zeke. They don't deal with that. They draft offensive line. Cool, wasn't great. They don't bring in a D tackle. They don't bring in linebackers. They don't bring any secondary in. It's a worse team than last year after Jerry Jones says we're going to go all in for next season. What did they do?
Nothing. Jerry's the problem.
We talked about it, I think, on one of our episodes. The Cowboys did nothing this last offseason. They did nothing. And then after Jerry said they're all in, the Cowboys have a long history of players saying they want to play for them, and Dallas just not even nothing.
Jerry.
Yeah, Earl Thomas was a big one. He said wanted to play like when he was leaving Seattle. And then Derrick Henry. It's so frustrating. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're a busy man, but that's my Cowboys rant. I don't like to get on this too much, but yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode then. Anything else you want to get on?
No, not really.
I know it's gonna look funny here at the end. You got to get going. But that has been this episode of Time Out with J&G. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you. I guess next Wednesday? Yeah.
Yep.
Peace.
Peace.